So we all got some news yesterday that David Lynch was found dead at 78, and I thought I would just come on here and yap about him. He was kind of one of those celebrity deaths that really get to you, where you kind of feel something in your stomach when you read it. All my friends knew to text me because they know I'm a huge David Lynch fan, and once I realized what was happening and my phone was blowing up, I saw the news.
You remind me today of a small Mexican chihuahua.
Yeah, I mean, this one hurts. It's a huge one. The reason why I love Lynch so much is because the first time I really got into cinema was watching Blue Velvet at my house. I remember I was like 16 or something, and I was watching it on a laptop. That's when I kind of started to realize that movies could be more than just kind of popcorn cinema. I started to realize that you can use stuff like dream logic to get your point across more. You can tell much more interesting stories when you use this type of narrative. He's also just a true, like, one-of-a-kind artist. He does everything his own way, even like his meditation stuff. He's very different from everybody else. All the actors love him, and he loves every actor he works with. You can't find anybody saying a negative thing about him. Like when you see Kyle MacLachlan's post or Naomi Watts' post, you really feel like they lost a family member.
Believe it or not, Eraserhead is my most spiritual film.
Mm-hmm. Why elaborate on that?
No, I won't. No one sees it.
I watched all of his filmography last year for a video, and I started to realize just how high quality all of his stuff really was. How different most of his projects were. I think him going out on Twin Peaks: The Return is about as great as a send-off as somebody can have. Just 18 hours of his own stuff with nobody interfering. You could also say it was him for 18 hours filming his best friends. The cast of that show is like David Lynch's favorite people put into a show. I mean, obviously all the Twin Peaks people, and you also got like Laura Dern and Naomi Watts. That entire show just feels like a celebration of all of David Lynch's filmography. I mean, when you think of Lynch, you think of all these weird films, you think of Eraserhead, but also he has a lot of movies that I feel like not a lot of people talk about that much anymore. When I decided to watch all of his movies last year, I watched Wild at Heart, and it was just so fascinating. It's like one of the most like badass, like fairy tale adjacent stories to watch. Then I also watched Lost Highway for the first time, and I can't think of a bigger nightmare of a film. I remember my viewing experience was just upstairs in the dark, and I was like, this is like legitimately fearful. It felt like the devil is in that movie. But then he can also make something as soft and caring as The Elephant Man. There's a reason that Mel Brooks was able to trust him with that film. Even the films I don't like Inland Empire, I respect so much. An artist of his level should always be able to do whatever he wants. That's how we get better art in the world.
The second bucket is for Justin Thoreau, and thank you so much, Justin.
When it was announced that he had emphysema, we kind of all knew that he wouldn't make any more projects. And again, it's not like we're all friends with David Lynch personally, so I understand why some people think this is like really hard to be saddened by. Like, you didn't know David Lynch, and it's not like you're gonna get anything more out of him. I think people that view movies this way are not smart. When I watch a director's work, I start to learn about myself more. I start to reflect a lot. When you sit down and just watch an entire director's filmography, you have underlying themes. You have to tackle those themes eventually. I remember when I watched every single Lars von Trier movie, I started to realize the underlying theme of human nature is evil. And you have to tackle that once you watch these movies. It makes you think. David Lynch's message is always much more warm. David Lynch's message is always much more warm. You may watch a David Lynch film and be like, the dialogue's really weird here. Meanwhile, when I watch his movies, I feel like everybody is so sweet to each other. Not in every single one of his films. When you see David Lynch project all this love into the world, you're not shocked by how many people love him, how many people endear him, and how many people respect him as one of the greatest artists we ever had. I have always viewed him as my favorite director because, well, his movies are really rewatchable because you kind of have to. They're all so ageless. I can watch Mulholland Drive 5 more times and get 5 more different interpretations of this film. I'm not really interested in movies that are one and done. They don't really stay with you. Not to pick on a random movie, but I watched The Bike Riders last year, and I can't tell you a single thing that even happened at this point in my life. I remember enjoying it when I watched it, but it's not like I go back to it or want to go back to it. And that's okay. All movies don't have to be like ageless classics, but I mean, come on. I'm really looking forward to the next time I watch Lost Highway in probably a year or two. I'm gonna have such a different interpretation of what I had before. Look, man, there's a reason I got a Twin Peaks tattoo. This guy means a lot to me. Try Try to celebrate his work in the next coming days. If you haven't watched Twin Peaks because it's 2 seasons of television, a movie, and another show, just forget that, dude. Just go watch it. Go dive right in. That pilot's one of the best things ever made. The world truly doesn't feel the same with him not in it. I'll see y'all later.
Would you like some pie?
Massive quantities and a glass of water, sweetheart. My socks are on fire.